The silver anniversary should have been a celebration, a testament to a quarter-century of shared life. Instead, Darren Price, my husband, presented me with divorce papers. 25 years is long enough, he'd announced, his voice carrying through the stunned silence of our gathered guests. I want someone young now, and you need to be out of the condo by tomorrow. He seemed to have forgotten, in his brazen declaration, that the Georgetown condo, our marital home, had been a wedding gift from my parents. Beside him, his mother, Celeste Price, offered only a silent, complacent smile. I rose, my own smile a brittle shield, took the microphone, and uttered words that would leave him utterly speechless. That night, a few weeks before the impending anniversary, I, Naomi Sterling, woke to a hushed murmur behind the bedroom door. Darren was on the phone again at 3 a.m., his voice unusually animated, with his mother. I lay still in the dark, my heart beginning its slow, cold thud against my ribs, catching snippets. We have to do this right, Darren insisted. She won't suspect a thing. Of course not, son, Celeste's voice affirmed, a silken reassurance. My body tensed. What twisted familial plot were they weaving in the dead of night? The hardwood groaned as Darren re-entered, my eyes snapping shut as I feigned sleep. He slipped into bed with a meticulous care that only emphasized the stiffness, the restless energy humming beneath his skin. The next morning, an unsettling aura permeated our home. Darren, usually indifferent to festive preparations, was unnaturally solicitous. Naomi, my love, he purred, pressing a kiss to my cheek that smelled faintly of expensive, unfamiliar cologne. How about we choose the restaurant for our anniversary today? I want everything to be perfect. Perfect. In 25 years, Darren had never once initiated, let alone enthused over, a celebration. I'd been the diligent architect of every family gathering, only to endure his inevitable criticisms. Fine, I replied, my voice carefully neutral, watching him head out the door. His cell phone, a silent sentinel, lay abandoned on the nightstand. The screen lit, a stark digital reminder of a world I might not know. Call S at 11 a.m. Later, pretending a casual interest as I watered the window plants, I asked, "Who's this S you have in your contacts?" Darren whirled, startled. For a fleeting second, raw panic flickered in his eyes, quickly masked. Ah, Sanchez, a colleague from Seattle, just consulting him on a work issue. A lie. I knew Darren Price better than I knew myself. When he spun a falsehood, his left eye always gave him away, a faint, telltale twitch. And it twitched then. I see, I murmured, my smile unwavering, even as an icy knot began to form in my gut. Once he'd left, I stood by the window, the gray October sky sprawling over Georgetown, a mirror to my own anxieties. 25 years, a quarter century. We'd met in college, him an ambitious rising star, me a driven accounting student. We married for love, dreaming of a house filled with children. But the children never came. Doctors found no reason, yet the miracle remained elusive. Darren took it hard, especially under the relentless, passive-aggressive pressure from Celeste, his mother, about grandchildren. Eventually, we'd found peace in our childless path, embracing careers and travel. But something vital had fractured between us. A sharp rap on the door shattered my reverie. Celeste Price stood on my stoop, her familiar frigid smile barely masking an appraisal of my home. "Naomi, dear," she chimed, stepping in without invitation. "How are you? Preparing for the party?" Her courtesy was always excessive, a thin veneer over a vast, unspoken distance. In 25 years, she had never once called me daughter. "Slowly but surely," I replied, guiding her towards the living room envisioned for the gathering. Darren wants to celebrate at a restaurant. Excellent. Celeste's tone brightened artificially. A respectable venue in front of proper guests. Doing everything at home simply doesn't convey the importance of the date. Her gaze swept the living room, that familiar silent comparison, a palpable presence in the air. Her suburban mansion, always grander, better appointed. By the way, Naomi dear, Celeste continued, settling into an armchair as if taking possession. I've been thinking about the future. Darren isn't so young anymore. He's 53, and well, we don't have grandchildren, do we? Don't you think it would be prudent to draft a will just in case? For the grandchildren. A chill snaked down my spine. What grandchildren, Celeste? We don't have children. Oh, for my nephews. She waved a dismissive hand. Good boys, both of them, studying, working. If we don't, the government will just take everything. My teacup clinked softly as I returned it to its saucer. And where do you keep the condo papers? Celeste asked then, a question that hung in the air with feigned casualness. I'm just thinking of the boys' future, the nephews, the young people. There it was, the subtext, the pieces connecting. They're in the safe, I replied, my voice dry. But why do you ask? Oh, just in case. You never know, she chirped. It's good to know where things are. When Celeste finally departed, the condo felt suddenly hollow. The late-night call, Darren's unsettling affection, and now Celeste's thinly veiled inquiries about the condo title. The puzzle was grimly assembling itself. I moved to Darren's computer. It had always been the same simple password, our meeting date. It didn't work. My heart began to race. In 25 years, he had never locked me out. His birthday? No. His mother's? Still no. Then, a sudden cold inspiration. Our wedding date, in reverse. It clicked. The browser history unfurled. A sickening panorama of his secrets. How to divorce when shared assets exist. Spousal rights in property division. Legal advice for separation. Every search meticulously dated over the past 2 weeks. My fingers trembled as I scrolled page after page. How to keep the condo in a divorce. Legal tricks for dividing assets. My phone rang, a jarring intrusion. It was Candace, my friend. Naomi, you won't believe what I saw. Darren, at a jeweler's in Tyson's Galleria, with a young woman. She was clinging to him, hugging him like nothing. What did she look like? I asked, my voice barely a whisper. About 30, blonde, very put together, wearing a super expensive coat. Pretty, but superficial, and they were so openly affectionate. Are you okay, Naomi? Yes, I lied, the word a brittle shard. But nothing, not a single thing, was fine. That evening, Darren returned, a lavish bouquet of roses and a box of expensive chocolates in hand. For my one and only true love, he declared, kissing me. One and only. The irony was a bitter taste in my mouth. I met his gaze directly. We need to talk seriously about our future. He stiffened imperceptibly, but I saw it. Talk about what? He turned on the TV, feigning absorption in the news. Everything's fine, isn't it? The anniversary is in 1 week. All our friends will be there. Let's not spoil the mood. We'll talk after the party. Okay? After the party. The words echoed with a chilling finality. It meant something was planned, something momentous for the party itself. I nodded, feigning acceptance, but an icy resolve hardened within me. After 25 years, I knew my husband. He was orchestrating a cold, calculated betrayal, with his mother and undoubtedly a lawyer as his co-conspirators. What Darren didn't know was that I had an ace hidden up my sleeve, a card that could unravel all his schemes. And for now, I wouldn't tell him a thing. The next day, a dull ache settled in my stomach, like the residue of a distant tragedy. Darren left early, skipping breakfast. Meeting, he mumbled. Meeting. I knew exactly who or what that meeting was with. At 11 a.m. sharp, the old home phone rang. Darren had forgotten his cell, leaving it face down on the kitchen counter. I let the answering machine pick up. Dee, it's Mom. I spoke to Mr. Hayes. Everything can be arranged. The important thing is, she doesn't suspect a thing until the very last moment. Call me when you're free. Hayes, the Seattle colleague. The lie unraveled. 25 years, a quarter century with a man who was now meticulously plotting my downfall like office paperwork. My eyes drifted to Darren's phone. A 6-digit code. Our meeting date, September 1st, 1999? No. Celeste's birthday? No. Then the blonde from the jewelers. A cold intuition told me to try March 8th, International Women's Day. It worked. The texts confirmed everything. Sierra, my love, a little more patience. After the anniversary, everything will be resolved. The condo will be ours. Then, Dee, you said we'd be living together by New Year's. I'm tired of hiding. And Darren's reply, my love, everything is going according to plan. Mom has already taken care of things. Naomi suspects nothing. Hayes says, if we play this right, she'll only get half. I'll keep the condo. I slumped into a chair, my hands shaking. They were carving up my life as if it were a piece of discarded furniture. Darren, his mother, the lawyer Hayes, the mistress Sierra, a predatory tangle, and I, the unsuspecting prey. And the worst was yet concealed. Another message. Hey, Mom, are you sure the condo title is in both our names? Maybe we got lucky and it's just mine. Celeste's reply. Son, I saw the copies when you bought it. Both names are on it, but Hayes says there are ways. The important thing is she signs the waiver, and if she won't sign, she will sign. After what we're going to do to her at the party, she won't have any other option. What were they going to do to me? Anxiety clawed at my throat. Humiliate me? Accuse me? Without hesitation, I copied all the damning messages to my own phone, returning Darren's device to its original place. I needed a plan. I needed help. I called Aisha Cole, my college friend, a family attorney now. We didn't speak often, but our bond remained unbroken. Naomi? Aisha answered, her voice warm. Long time no talk. How are you? Can we meet today? I asked, my voice betraying nothing of the maelstrom within. The air in Aisha's downtown office, high in a modern glass tower, felt charged, thick with unspoken anxieties. I need a consultation, Naomi said, her voice barely a whisper. Aisha, a whirlwind of calm efficiency, had found a slot 6 o'clock. As the door clicked shut, Aisha's embrace was warm, but her eyes, sharp and knowing, immediately caught the tremor in Naomi's posture, the ghost of a shadow beneath her eyes. Sit down, love. Tell me everything. What happened? Naomi drew a long, shuddering breath. Let's just say an acquaintance of mine is having trouble with her husband. He wants a divorce, but he's hiding it, and it seems he's setting a trap. Aisha leaned forward, her gaze unblinking. You sure this is a hypothetical acquaintance, Naomi? The silence that followed stretched, taut and fragile, before Naomi surrendered. The words spilled out the chilling late-night calls, the cryptic phone messages, the insidious whispers of her mother-in-law, Sierra. Aisha listened intently, only interrupting with a quiet prompt for clarification, a slight tilt of her head. Finally, Aisha nodded. I understand. This is serious, yes, but you are not lost. The good news is you reacted in time. Her voice dropped, becoming a low, strategic hum. Tell me about the house. When did you buy it? Whose name is on the title? Both names, equal shares, 2005. Naomi rattled off the facts, a lifeline in her drowning world. I'm the controller at Alliance Development Group 15 years. The weekend cabin is also in both names, but it's barely worth anything. The condo is the main asset. Aisha's pen scratched across a pad. Naomi, they can't do anything to you if you keep a clear head. In a divorce, everyone receives what is legally theirs. No one can force you to waive your share. But it is clear they are planning something dirty. They want to put you in a weak emotional position, a scandal, an accusation, anything to break you. You need to be ready. How do I prepare? The question hung, raw and desperate. Gather evidence. Take photos of the messages. Record conversations if you can. Move some of the money into an account only in your name. Most importantly, do not let them know that you know. A fragile seed of hope blossomed in Naomi's chest. She had a plan. She had support. Thanks, Aisha. How much do I owe you? Aisha smiled, a flash of warmth in the cool office. Nothing, girl. Friends don't charge. Just keep me in the loop. And remember, no matter what happens, you are not alone, and you are not defenseless. Naomi walked into her home with a newfound resolve, a quiet battle forming in her heart. But the moment Darren's voice sliced through the air, she knew the war had already begun. He stood by the entrance, admiring his reflection. You look kind of run down today, huh? He blurted, not meeting her eyes. Forgive me, but yes, Naomi, you've let yourself go a bit lately. Look, turning 50 isn't the end of the world, but you need to take care of yourself. Go to the gym, see the dermatologist, get something done. I saw Candace's daughter today. She's 30 but looks 25, very polished. And you? Well, you understand. The subtext was a cold blade. He was meticulously chiseling away at her, setting the stage for his betrayal by making her feel inadequate. I have a meeting tomorrow, he announced suddenly, turning from the mirror. It's Saturday, but it will take all day. Another date with Sierra, undoubtedly. That's fine, Naomi replied, her voice surprisingly steady. And Sunday, I'm going with Mom. I'm going to set up her new smart TV. Spending time with the co-conspirator. That night, as the shower drummed against the bathroom tiles, Naomi opened her laptop. Their joint bank account blinked on the screen. Over the last month, a staggering $30,000 had vanished in a series of transactions gifts for Sierra. Payments to a lawyer, who knew what else? All their shared money. A brittle, nervous laugh escaped Naomi's lips. They were using her own resources to orchestrate her downfall, but they didn't know about her ace in the hole. A week prior, a letter had arrived from a notary, a formal missive bearing the weight of unexpected fortune. Her Aunt Josephine, her father's elder sister, had passed away in Germany, leaving no children or spouse. To Naomi, her only niece, she bequeathed everything. A Munich condo valued at $800,000, a bank account holding $570,000 USD, and a luxury investment condo in Miami Beach, Florida. Over $3 million in total. Naomi had kept the news a secret, a surprise intended for their anniversary. Now, that inheritance was her salvation. She typed furiously, researching how to register the estate, transfer the funds, protect herself legally from the people who saw her as a fool. Darren thought he held all the cards, but the game had only just begun. Monday morning, a new Naomi emerged. Her first stop wasn't the notary handling her aunt's will, but the familiar office of Mr. Perry, the real estate lawyer who had navigated their condo purchase all those years ago. Naomi Sterling, how many years? The older gentleman greeted her with a warm smile. And how is Darren Price doing? Mr. Perry, I need your help, she said, stepping inside, but it has to be strictly confidential. The lawyer's smile faded, replaced by a grave expression. Sit down, I'm listening. Do you remember our condo on M Street in Georgetown? You handled the title work in 2005. Of course, he mused. A very good unit in a fine building. Do you recall who purchased it first? I mean, where did the money come from? Mr. Perry frowned, pulling a thick, aged file from his cabinet. His fingers traced lines of text. Here it is. It was an unusual case. The money came directly from your parents' account. And in the deed of gift, you are listed as the sole recipient. Darren was added 2 months later as your husband. A surge of warmth, of vindication, spread through Naomi's chest. So, it's formally a premarital asset? Formally, yes. Your parents gifted it to you before Darren's name appeared on the documents. In case of divorce, that can make all the difference. He could only claim something if he proves he invested in major renovations. Naomi's smile was faint, almost imperceptible. Darren had never spent a dime on the condo. She had done everything herself. Could you give me a confirming document? Of course. Come back tomorrow afternoon. It will be ready. Leaving the office, Naomi felt a subtle but profound shift within her. For days, she had been a hunted animal. Now, she felt strong, protected. But what awaited her at home left her breathless again. A courier had delivered a thick envelope from Germany. The final papers for Aunt Josephine's inheritance. Naomi skimmed the summary. The Munich condo, $800,000. The bank account, $570,000. The luxury investment condo in Miami Beach, over $3 million in total. She sank onto the living room sofa, the official documents rustling in her hands. She was a wealthy, independent, free woman, but Darren shouldn't know. Not yet. Her phone rang, jarring her from her thoughts. It was Darren, his voice falsely cheerful. Naomi, my love, I was thinking, what if we really celebrate our anniversary? Colleagues, friends, everyone. Why such a big deal, Dee? Why? It's 25 years, a silver anniversary. I want everyone to see what a perfect family we have. I already reserved the ballroom at the Watergate Hotel for 100 people. 100 people for her public humiliation. Isn't that expensive, Darren? We're supposed to be saving. Don't worry about it, he interrupted too quickly. The money is there. The important thing is the impression. We'll invite my boss, yours. Everyone needs to see how happy we are. What a cynical lie. Fine, Naomi said calmly, the words tasting like ash. Whatever you say. Perfect. I have a meeting with some partners. We'll talk tonight. More partners. Naomi knew precisely what that meant. That afternoon, Celeste Price, Darren's mother, arrived, a poisonous smile on her face. Naomi, dear, she cooed, extending an envelope. This is from me to you. Inside was a business card. Hayes and Associates, Divorce and Property Law, with a handwritten note. Free consultation anytime. The audacity. They were offering her a consultation with the very lawyer orchestrating her betrayal. Thank you, Naomi said, her voice dry as dust. Very thoughtful. I worry about you, daughter. Daughter. For the first time in 25 years, her mother-in-law had used that word just before plunging the knife. After Celeste left, Naomi began to clean, a desperate need for order possessing her. In one of Darren's jacket pockets, her fingers closed around a crumpled card. Mr. Hayes, family law, divorce, asset division, alimony. The same lawyer, the same plan. Darren came home late that night, cheerful and reeking of an expensive, unfamiliar perfume. He embraced Naomi, a perfunctory gesture. Everything is ready. Restaurant menu guests. It will be unforgettable. Naomi looked at him, her gaze icy. He was right. It would be unforgettable, just not in the way he imagined. Dee, what cologne are you wearing? That's not yours. He hesitated, a telltale flicker in his eyes. I got on the elevator with the neighbor. She wears a very strong perfume, and it clung to my jacket. One lie after another. By the way, he said, turning toward the window, at the anniversary, I'm going to give a special speech about our life and our future plans. What plans? Naomi asked, her heart sinking. You'll see. It's a surprise. A surprise. Naomi felt a chill that had nothing to do with the night air. She couldn't sleep. Around 2 a.m., she heard a murmur. Darren was on the phone in the hallway. She crept out of bed and pressed her ear to the bedroom door. Mom, everything is perfect. The restaurant is booked. Guests are confirmed. After the toast, it will all just happen. Are you sure she doesn't suspect anything? His mother's voice, tinny through the phone, asked. How would she suspect? She's naive like a child. She's always trusted me, and she still does. And if she doesn't want to sign the papers, she will sign. After what I tell her in front of everyone, she'll have no other option. Everyone will see what she's really like, you know. Dee, don't you think it would be better to do it privately at home without a scene? No, Mom. It has to be in front of everyone. That way, she won't be able to make a scene or demand explanations. She'll go straight home, and Hayes will be waiting for her there with the papers. Quick, clean, and no drama. And Sierra already knows. Of course, she's even coming to the anniversary. I want her to meet my colleagues. I'm going to introduce her as my new assistant. You're cruel, Celeste whispered. It's not cruelty, Mom. It's being practical. 25 years was enough. I deserve to be happy too, even if it's at her expense. Naomi returned to her bed, but sleep remained a distant shore. Sierra would be there. She would witness Naomi's humiliation and then step into her new life. That was their plan. In the morning, Naomi went to the bank. The cursor blinked, a silent predator, as Naomi Sterling transferred half their joint savings into her new fiercely private account. If Darren Price, her husband of 25 years, insisted on showering his mistress with gilded promises, he would do so with his dwindling half. This was only the beginning. Next, she moved with practiced precision toward her lawyer's office, securing the document that unequivocally declared the D.C. condo hers alone, pre-marriage, then to work. Mr. Boudreau, she announced, stepping into her boss's imposing office. Do you have a moment? Michael Boudreau, a man whose presence usually filled a room, looked up, a flicker of concern crossing his face. Naomi Sterling, of course. Is everything all right? Everything is, for now, she corrected, her voice steady. I simply wanted to preemptively warn you. I'll soon be navigating a difficult personal phase. His brow furrowed. Divorce? Seriously, I thought you two were unbreakable. You even invited me to your anniversary. Naomi met his gaze, unflinching. Precisely why I'm telling you. If things go sideways, I need to know I can count on your support. My work will not suffer. Boudreau leaned back, a rare smile softening his features. Naomi, you are the finest controller we've had in 15 years. Whatever is coming, your job is secure. A tiny victory, a first tremor of justice. That night, while Darren was conveniently at yet another meeting, Naomi retrieved a stack of inheritance documents. A clear surgical plan began to form in her mind. Aunt Josephine's Miami Beach condo, recently vacated, lay waiting a sun-drenched sanctuary. The money in the German bank accounts promised years of unassailable financial independence, and that irrefutable document for the D.C. condo, Darren would never see it coming. Tomorrow, he believes he'll deliver the final blow. He's in for a surprise. She slipped the papers into the safe, a ghost of a smile playing on her lips. Thursday morning, the German consulate. The mustachioed consul, an elder statesman of international finance, meticulously reviewed her documents. Everything is in order, Mrs. Sterling. Your aunt was a woman of remarkable foresight. The bank accounts will be accessible in 1 week. And the Miami Beach condo? Ownership transfers to you immediately. Here are the papers. Naomi carefully stacked the deeds and statements into her bag. 3 properties, over $1 million in cash, and the most priceless asset of all, absolute freedom. Later, at the bank, a young advisor's eyes widened at the figures. Wow, you did exceptionally well with the inheritance, didn't you? Yes, Naomi replied, a genuine warmth in her smile. My aunt was an incredible woman. Stepping out, a lightness she hadn't felt in years enveloped her. Darren's schemes, his future, none of it mattered anymore. Or so she thought. The surprise waiting for her outside the Watergate Hotel ripped through her composure like a cold blade. She'd come to check on the anniversary party arrangements, and there, by the grand entrance, stood Sierra, Darren's mistress. Sierra, draped in an obscenely expensive coat, cooed into her phone. Dee, my love, it's incredible. The ballroom, it's huge. The decor, divine. You promised we'd live in a huge condo soon, and I can already imagine hosting parties there. Her saccharine voice twisted Naomi's gut. Sierra just feet away, oblivious, painting vivid domestic scenes with her husband. Naomi studied her, pretty, 30-ish, perfect nails, but eyes that were cold, calculating. Of course, I understand tomorrow will be difficult, Sierra continued, her voice dropping conspiratorially. But you said after your speech she'd understand everything, and I'll be there as your new assistant. Romantic, right? Publicly humiliating your wife is romantic? Naomi took a deliberate step closer. Excuse me, do you know where the manager is? Sierra whirled, her gaze sweeping over Naomi with a dismissive air. No idea, she snapped, returning to her call. I don't work here. Dee, there's some lady asking me questions here. Okay, see you tonight. I love you. Some lady? Naomi's smile was now razor sharp. Tomorrow, this lady would deliver a very big surprise indeed. The restaurant manager, a kindly, plump woman, greeted Naomi with a warm smile. Ah, Mrs. Price, you're here about tomorrow's anniversary. Mr. Price has taken care of everything. Ballroom for 100, banquet, live music. And the cost? Naomi asked, her voice deceptively casual. $45,000. Your husband insisted on the best of the best. $45,000 to publicly dismantle her life. Naomi simply nodded. May I see the ballroom? The room was opulent. Soaring ceilings, crystal chandeliers, immaculate white tablecloths, and enormous mirrors reflecting every angle. Every guest would have a perfect view of the spectacle. Where will the microphone for the toasts be placed? Right here, center stage, the manager replied. Mr. Price insisted everyone hear him. Of course, so no one misses the humiliation. At home, Darren paced, a paper clutched in his hand. Naomi, he exclaimed, shoving it behind his back. Where have you been? At the restaurant, checking everything. She held his gaze. What did you think of it? Impressive. $45,000 for one night. Seriously, Dee, she said, her voice laced with mock concern. Isn't that a bit much? We have other plans, don't we? He scoffed, a dismissive wave of his hand. Don't worry about it. The money is there. The important thing is the impression we make on our guests. Or on his mistress. That night, Celeste Price, Darren's mother, arrived buzzing with excitement. Dee, son, are you ready? Did you rehearse your speech? Of course, Mom. Everything will be perfect. She patted his shoulder, her eyes gleaming with anticipation. Your speech will be a triumph. Everyone will see you've made the right decision. The right decision. Naomi watched from the kitchen, a cold fire building in her core. "Mom, what if she makes a scene?" Darren fretted. "She won't," Celeste declared, supremely confident. "Not with so many people. She's an educated woman. She'll maintain appearances and sort things out at home. And Hayes, is he ready?" "Yes, the papers are done. All she needs to do is sign. After my speech, she'll have no choice." Naomi slipped silently to their bedroom and retrieved her own folder, a triumph of meticulous planning. The DC condo deed, the inheritance documents, the new bank statements. Tomorrow, these documents would change everything. Later, after Celeste had left, Darren locked himself in his study. Naomi crept to the door and listened. His voice, muffled, rehearsed the lines of his betrayal. "Dear friends, today is a special day. 25 years ago, I made a decision that seemed right. But life moves on, people change, and sometimes you have to have the courage to admit your mistakes." Mistakes. 25 years of marriage was his mistake. I thank Naomi for these years, but honesty demands I speak the truth. We are different people with different values, with different plans for the future, and I have made a decision. The rest was indistinct, but the meaning echoed in the silence. Naomi returned to bed, her mind furiously awake. Morning. Darren, buoyant, adjusted his tie in the mirror. "Naomi," he practically sang, "today is a great day. Yes, our anniversary." "Not just that," he smiled, a strange secret glee in his eyes. "Today, your life is going to change, and so is mine, completely." "Completely?" she echoed, her voice flat. "You'll see, you're going to be very surprised." "Surprised?" She paused. "Dee, can I ask you something?" "Sure, what is it? Did you ever really love me, truly?" He froze, tie in hand. What a weird question to ask on such an important day. "Just curious." "Of course I loved you," he said, not meeting her eyes. "And I still love you, in my own way." In his own way, like someone cares for an old piece of furniture that has served its purpose. "I understand," Naomi said quietly. Throughout the day, Darren was a whirlwind of anxious energy, calling the restaurant, checking the guest list, micromanaging every last detail. By evening, he was a bundle of raw nerves. "Are you ready, Naomi?" She stood before the mirror, the new, elegant dark blue dress shimmering around her. "Ready?" She picked up her purse, a whisper of a promise in her touch to the documents hidden within. "Then let's go. It's time for the truth to be known." "The truth?" He echoed the words, unaware of their dual meaning. They drove in silence. Darren's fingers drummed a frantic rhythm on the steering wheel. Naomi watched the city lights blur, a kaleidoscope of past and present. 25 years ago, they'd ridden in a similar silence to the courthouse, a silence of excitement, of love. Tonight, it was the silence before a battle. "Naomi," Darren began as they pulled up to the Watergate, "no matter what happens tonight, I want you to know, I wish you the best." "The best? What a cruel mockery." "Thank you, Dee," she replied, her smile serenely lethal. "And I wish you receive exactly what you deserve." The ballroom sparkled, 100 guests seated at tables adorned with white roses and gold candles. At the head table, the hosts. Naomi accepted congratulations, every muscle tense, waiting for his blow. "Naomi, you look stunning today," Marina, a colleague, gushed. 25 years together. How romantic." "Yes," Naomi said, scanning the room. "Very unexpected, all of it." In a corner, Sierra, draped in an even more expensive dress, chatted casually with colleagues, introduced as Darren's new marketing assistant. She was young, pretty, entirely at ease. "Darren Price, congratulations on your anniversary," Mr. Michael Budrow boomed, shaking Darren's hand. One rarely sees such solid couples. Thank you, Mr. Budrow. Darren beamed. Today is a special day. I've even prepared a very special speech. A speech. Naomi's throat constricted. Celeste Price, meanwhile, drifted from table to table, basking in compliments about her good son and his ideal wife. Her eyes gleamed with knowing satisfaction. At a small table in the back, a man in his 50s, impeccably suited, sat with an air of discreet importance. Naomi didn't know him personally, but she recognized his photograph. Mr. Hayes, the lawyer. He was here, a silent reaper, waiting for a signature. The microphone crackled, pulling every gaze toward the main table. Dear guests, the master of ceremony announced, his voice echoing. May I ask for your attention? Darren would like to say a few words in honor of his wife. A hush fell, thick and expectant. Darren rose, a broad smile plastered on his face as he took the mic. Friends, thank you for being here on this important day. 25 years is no small thing. A quarter century alongside one person. Glasses clinked, heads nodded in polite agreement. I've thought a lot about our life together, Darren continued, his gaze sweeping over the room, about what united us, what made us happy, and what didn't so much. Naomi tensed. It's starting, she thought, a cold knot forming in her stomach. And I realized something very important, Darren declared, his voice gaining an edge. People change. What seems right when you're young can eventually turn out to be a mistake. The ballroom grew stiller, the air suddenly heavy. Confused glances darted between tables. 25 years ago, I chose the woman who would be my life partner, guided by youthful emotions. But life taught me to see things more clearly. He paused, letting the words hang in the silence. Darren, Naomi murmured, her voice barely a whisper. What are you talking about? He met her eyes, a strange, hard glint in his own. The truth, dear. It's time to stop lying to ourselves. He turned back to the guests, his voice now firm, unshakable. Dear friends, I want to be honest with you and with myself. For 25 years, I endured a life with a woman who is not right for me. A gray, boring woman who doesn't know how to be the partner of a successful man. A wave of shocked murmurs rippled through the room. Darren, are you crazy? Someone shouted from the back. Quite the opposite, he replied, his composure unnerving. I'm finally thinking clearly. Naomi needs to understand this. Our marriage is over. I'm filing for divorce. Gasps erupted. Hands flew to mouths. In a quiet corner, his mother, Celeste, offered a small, triumphant smile. Furthermore, Darren pressed on, emboldened by the stunned silence, I want a fair division of assets. Naomi must leave the condo. It's time for a new life, new relationships. His eyes landed pointedly on Sierra, a blonde woman near the back, who struggled to suppress a victorious smirk. Is this a joke? A bewildered woman stammered. Darren, are you in your right mind? His boss, Mr. Budrow, demanded, rising from his seat. More than ever, Darren retorted, his voice chilling. I have the right to be happy, and I'm going to exercise it. Naomi will receive what the law dictates, and we will separate on good terms. And that young girl is your new conquest? One of Naomi's friends cried out, pointing at Sierra. Sierra is a wonderful woman. She understands what I need, Darren stated openly, unlike other people. That was enough. Slowly, deliberately, Naomi rose. Her movements were fluid, unhurried, as she gently, almost tenderly, took the microphone from her stunned husband's hand. Thank you, Darren, she said, her voice soft, almost sweet, very honest. A profound silence descended, heavier than before. Every eye in the ballroom watched her, expecting tears, a dramatic exit, a collapse. You know, dear friends, Naomi continued, her gaze unwavering, Darren is right about one thing, enough of the lies, and I want to speak the truth too. Darren frowned, a flicker of unease crossing his face. This was not in his script. The truth is, she said, her voice imbued with a calm power, I knew about this whole charade for 3 weeks. I knew about Sierra, about the lawyer Hayes, who's right over there in the corner, and about your plans to make me waive my rights to the condo. Mr. Hayes, the lawyer, paled. He tried to melt into the shadows, but agitated guests blocked his escape route. Naomi, what are you talking about? Darren tried to interrupt, his confidence faltering. That your plan fell apart, darling. Naomi offered a small, knowing smile. She reached into her purse and retrieved a folder. You see, you made a tiny mistake. Our condo is not a shared asset. It was a gift from my parents, in my name, before the marriage. I have the document here, from the real estate lawyer. Darren took a step back, his face draining of color. That can't be. And what's more, Naomi continued, her voice gaining a quiet force, 3 weeks ago, I received an inheritance from my Aunt Josephine in Germany, a condo in Munich, another luxury condo in Miami Beach, and over $1 million in cash. The silence in the room was absolute, a stark canvas for her words. So, Dee, she concluded, a chilling sweetness in her tone, what property division are you talking about? You'll get half of the cabin and half of your car. Everything else is mine. Against the far wall, Sierra had gone paper white. And now, the fun part, Naomi said, a genuine smile gracing her lips. Do you know how much your successful man spent on this little play? Her gaze swept over the bewildered faces. To publicly humiliate his wife, $45,000 of our joint savings. A rumble of outraged murmurs filled the ballroom. But I'm not spiteful, Naomi added, her voice unwavering. Darren, you are free. Take your wonderful woman as you called her and live wherever you like, just not in my condo. Wait, Darren whispered, a desperate plea in his voice. We can talk about this. There's nothing to talk about. I'm filing for divorce tomorrow. Hayes can leave. She waved a dismissive hand. I don't need him anymore. She turned to the guests, a dignified sadness in her eyes. Dear friends, I apologize for ruining your evening, but sometimes the truth is more important than appearances. Thank you for coming. Now you know who is who. Naomi gently placed the microphone back on the table and walked, her head held high, toward the exit. Behind her, a full-blown scandal erupted. Darren, you are a complete scoundrel, a woman yelled, her voice trembling with indignation. How could you do that to your wife? 25 years and you pull this? Sierra attempted a discreet escape, but a furious knot of guests blocked her path. And what about you, homewrecker? Someone spat. Did you think stealing another woman's husband would be easy? Have you no shame? Celeste Price, Darren's mother, weaved through the tables, attempting to offer explanations, but no one listened. Naomi stepped through the restaurant doors, breathing in the cool night air. Freedom. She paused, looking back through the large windows at the chaos unfolding inside. Darren's house of cards, built over months, was collapsing before her eyes. He stood in the middle of the ballroom, pale and disoriented, like an actor who had utterly forgotten his lines. The microphone lay abandoned on the floor as guests shouted around him. Mr. Michael Budrow, the CEO, approached Darren, his expression grim. Darren Price, I am deeply disappointed in you after this show. I think we will have to review your position in the company. But Mr. Budrow, you don't understand, Darren stammered, frantically trying to defend himself. It's not what it looks like. Naomi twisted everything. Twisted? Interjected Marina, one of Naomi's co-workers, a fierce glint in her eyes. We all heard what you said. 25 years enduring a colorless woman. Aren't you ashamed? In another corner, Sierra, her dream of a luxury condo shattered, pushed through the angry crowd. Dee, she shrieked, grabbing Darren's sleeve. What's going on? You promised me a condo. Where's the money you gave me for our new life? Shh, Darren hissed, nervously glancing around. Not here. Why not here? Sierra yelled, her voice spiraling into hysteria. I've been waiting for 3 months. You said we'd live like kings after the divorce, and now what? Guests turned, curious, some already raising their cell phones to record. Stop it, please, Darren pleaded, fear entering his eyes. We'll talk later. But Sierra let out a bitter, almost hysterical laugh. Talk about what? You don't have a condo or money. You fooled me. She spun to face the guests. Do you want to know the truth? This successful man promised me riches for 3 months. He bought me jewelry with his wife's money. He promised me a huge downtown condo. Seer, shut up, Darren screamed in desperation, but it was too late. And he also took out loans using their shared assets as collateral. She spat, getting carried away. He thought his wife would never find out. He took $20,000 from Chase Bank and another $15,000 from Wells Fargo. He spent it all on me. The room was silent. Even Naomi hadn't known about the loans. Celeste Price, who had been trying to shrink into the background, rushed toward her son. Dee, son, what is this woman saying? What loans? What inheritance of Naomi's? Mom, now is not the time, Darren mumbled, his face crumbling. Not the time? Celeste's voice rose, edged with panic. I mortgaged my mansion to give you money for the lawyer. And now what? How am I going to pay? Another blow landed. Even his mother was now in debt because of his scheme. Wait, one of the guests intervened, trying to make sense of the tangled mess. Did I understand correctly? The 3 of you planned to deceive Naomi? No, not 3, 4, Sierra injected venomously. The lawyer Hayes, too. He was going to make her sign the waiver to the condo. Everyone turned to the corner where Hayes had been sitting, but his chair was empty. The lawyer had already bolted. Snake! Celeste Price shrieked, lunging at Sierra. This is all your fault. You drove my son crazy. My fault? Sierra retorted indignantly, dodging Celeste's grasp. It was your son who groomed me. He told me his wife was a fool, that he'd manipulate her easily. Men quickly separated them as a fight nearly broke out. What a disgrace, a woman said loudly, shaking her head. Mr. Budrow, doesn't Naomi work for you? Yes, and she is the best controller I've had in 15 years, the CEO stated firmly, his voice cutting through the din. After this circus, the only thing I'm going to do is raise her salary. And this guy, he looked at Darren with undisguised contempt, should look for another job. With this reputation, he won't get far. Darren stumbled back and forth between his mother, his mistress, and the indignant guests, trying desperately to fix something, anything. People you don't understand, he yelled, his voice cracking. I have the right to be happy. 25 years is too much. An older woman, Naomi's Aunt Clarice, approached him, her eyes sharp. And did you think about how she felt, living 25 years with an egoist like you? Aunt Clarice is right. Other family members of Naomi rallied around her. What a disgrace. People like you don't belong in our family. Good thing Naomi found out in time, added her cousin Dwayne. Otherwise, you would have kept fooling her whole life. Hey, what if we upload this to social media? A young guest suggested, already tapping on his phone. Let everyone know who this guy Price is. Yes, others agreed. We have to trend the next silver anniversary trader. No, wait, Darren begged, his voice laced with terror. Don't do it. This is my private life. Private? Sierra laughed, a harsh, brittle sound. You humiliated your wife in front of 100 people, and now you care about privacy? Slowly, the guests began to leave. First Naomi's family, then her co-workers, then their acquaintances. As they departed, each one offered their scathing opinion. Darren Price, a colleague said on his way out. After tonight, don't even say you know me. What a shame for the family, a neighbor muttered, shaking her head. And now, how is he going to face people? You're trash, one of the men said bluntly as he passed, his eyes boring into Darren's. You exposed your wife like she was a joke in front of everyone. The grand ballroom lay in ruins, a graveyard of forgotten champagne flutes and half-eaten plates. Only the architects of its downfall remained, Darren, Celeste, Sierra, and a scattering of curious waiters. Sierra, her carefully coiffed hair now a disheveled mess, broke the silence. Now what, Dee? Any money left? Darren threw his hands up. Where from? The party, the gifts, the loans? It all went. Who's paying them back? I don't know. Maybe I'll sell the car, she ventured, but Sierra's bitter laugh cut her off. The car? Are you insane? That won't even scratch the surface. And what about me? I left my ex for you, Darren. He could only repeat, a hollow echo in the vast space. I don't know. I don't know what to do. Celeste Price sat slumped, face buried in her hands. What am I going to tell Hayes? He charges a fortune, and I put the house up as collateral. Mom, Darren began, moving towards her. We'll find a solution. Her head snapped up, eyes raw and red. A solution? I'm 70. I'm going to be homeless because of your foolishness. Sierra, adjusting her purse with a deliberate snap, stood. You know what? I'm out. You two are utterly useless. Dee, don't ever call me again. And the money you owe me for the last 3 months? Forget it. Consider it a life lesson paid in full. At the door, she paused, turning back. Your wife, though? Naomi? She's a badass. A real shame I only saw it today. Those are the women who deserve respect. Her heels clicked a sharp, decisive rhythm into the silence as she exited. Alone in the wreckage, Celeste's voice was a whisper. Darren, what if it's not too late? What if we go see Naomi, ask for forgiveness? He shook his head, a gesture of weary defeat. It's too late, Mom. You saw her face. She'll never forgive us. Then what are we going to do? I don't know, he repeated for the 3rd time, the words draining of all meaning. I swear, I just don't know. Meanwhile, Naomi was in a taxi. The city lights a glittering tapestry outside her window, heading towards her condo. In her purse, the solid weight of property titles to 3 homes and a bank statement proclaiming over $1 million. The driver, an older man with kind eyes, caught her gaze in the rearview mirror. Beautiful night, isn't it? Naomi smiled, a genuine, luminous thing. Yes, very beautiful. You could say, it changed my life. That's good, he nodded. Some days just change everything. Exactly, she confirmed, watching the world blur past. Everything changed. And indeed, everything had. 3 months later, Naomi sat in a sterile courtroom, watching the life of the man she had been married to for 25 years unravel before her. Darren looked a decade older, hair threaded with gray, face etched with weariness. The expensive suits were gone, replaced by a cheap, ill-fitting one. The judge, an elderly woman with sharp eyes behind her glasses, perused the documents. Very well, she announced, her voice precise. The court rules as follows. The condo on M Street in Georgetown is the separate premarital property of Mrs. Naomi Sterling and is not subject to division. Darren flinched. His lawyer, no longer the formidable Hayes, but a young, overwhelmed public defender, could only offer a helpless shrug. The cabin property, the judge continued, is considered marital property and will be divided in half. The same applies to the Lexus ES300. Your Honor, Darren's lawyer interjected, my client used that car for work. Denied, the judge replied, dry as kindling. The vehicle was purchased with common marital funds. Naomi remained impassive, but beside her, Aisha, her friend and lawyer, offered a barely perceptible smile. Everything was proceeding according to plan. Furthermore, the judge pressed on, it has been proven that Mr. Darren Price concealed significant debts from his spouse. She listed them with chilling clarity. A $20,000 loan from Chase Bank, $15,000 from Wells Fargo, and an $8,000 quick loan. Total debt, $43,000. But these are his personal debts, the young lawyer protested, his voice cracking. According to Family Code Section 39, the judge stated calmly, debts incurred during the marriage are the responsibility of both parties. However, as these funds were not used for family welfare, but for the personal affairs of the petitioner, he shall be solely responsible for their repayment. Darren went even paler. $43,000, all his. This court solemnly decides, the judge concluded, her voice ringing, to dissolve the marriage between Darren Price and Naomi Sterling. The respondent retains the condo and all bank accounts. The petitioner retains half the cabin value and half the car's value. No alimony is assigned as there are no minor children. The sharp rap of the gavel echoed through the silent room, a final punctuation mark on a 25-year marriage. Leaving the courthouse, Naomi felt a strange, profound peace, as if an enormous weight had been lifted from her shoulders. Naomi, Darren's voice, raw and desperate, cut through the clamor. She turned. Her ex-husband stood on the courthouse steps, a crumpled folder clutched in his hand. "What do you want?" she asked, her voice calm. "Forgive me," he mumbled, his gaze fixed on the ground. "I was a selfish fool. You didn't deserve what I did." Naomi studied him, a flicker of something unreadable in her eyes. Was it remorse or just another performance? "Darren," she said, her voice even, "I don't hold a grudge. We're just very different people. You wanted an easy life at others' expense. I'm used to fighting for what's mine. Could we see each other sometime, as friends?" "No," Naomi replied, softly but firmly. "I'm sorry, but no. It's better if we each go our own way." She turned and walked towards her car, a sleek new Audi, purchased with part of her German inheritance. Life, she realized, had simply continued, and everyone had ultimately found their deserved path. A month after the divorce, Darren lost his job. The infamous anniversary party video had gone viral, trending under the Owen Sandniversary, and his company's CEO wanted no part of the scandal. "Darren Price," his boss had said on that final day, "I can't have someone on my team who makes such a public spectacle. But I'm a good professional." "Perhaps, but your reputation is in the gutter. I'm sorry." Finding another job was impossible. Everyone recognized him. He ended up driving a taxi in his old Toyota Camry, which he'd had to buy back from Naomi for half its value, a paltry $15,000. He now lived with his mother in her cramped one-bedroom apartment on the city's outskirts. Celeste, too, had been forced to sell her downtown mansion to cover debts, trading luxury for a modest, cheaper place. "Dee," she'd sigh at night, gazing at the cracked walls, "don't you wish you'd listened to me? Never gotten involved with that Sierra?" "It's too late, Mom," Darren would reply, counting his meager day's earnings. Too late for regrets. Sierra, meanwhile, was doing more than fine. 2 months after the scandal, she married a 50-year-old entrepreneur who owned a chain of restaurants. He was wealthy, if not particularly sharp, and seemed to believe her elaborate story about a toxic relationship with a married man. The wedding photo she uploaded to social media showcased opulent bouquets and glittering gold jewelry. Finally found true love. Happy in a new life, the caption read. Darren saw it, a bitter smile twisting his lips. Sierra had gotten what she wanted, a husband with money. It just wasn't him. Naomi lived a completely different life. She moved to her Aunt Josephine's investment condo in Miami Beach, a spacious, sun-drenched sanctuary with an ocean view, a true oasis amid the city's ceaseless hum. She no longer wanted to be an accountant. With her inheritance, she opened a small publishing house, specializing in translations of European literature, a lifelong dream given flesh and bone. Naomi Sterling, Mr. Budrow, her old boss, had said when she resigned, "We don't want to lose you. Are you completely sure?" "Thank you," she'd replied, a genuine smile playing on her lips. "But I've found what I'm truly passionate about. I'm dedicating myself to books." Well, I wish you the best of luck. And you know what? After everything with your ex-husband, many of our female employees look up to you. A woman has to know how to defend herself. One evening, Aisha came to visit. "You look so content," she observed, taking in the cozy living room. "Do you feel avenged?" Naomi mused for a moment, sipping her tea. "You know, I don't feel vengeance. I feel relief. That wasn't vengeance. I just defended my rights. The truth always wins, even if it takes time." They sat on the balcony, watching the shimmering lights of Miami. "Do you regret those 25 years?" Aisha asked softly. Naomi shook her head. "No, those 25 years taught me something invaluable, to only rely on myself and to value honesty above everything else." Her publishing house thrived, employing 5 talented young translators. They produced beautiful books, cherished by those who appreciated finely crafted literature. Naomi, her editor Anna, said one day, "Your story is special. My mom was at that anniversary party. She works with your ex-boss. She says there are few women like you." "I don't consider myself a strong woman," Naomi responded, a quiet strength in her voice. "I just decided not to be a victim." A year later, a letter arrived from Darren. "Naomi, I don't know if you'll read this. I just want to say that I understand. You were the best thing that ever happened to me. I lost you because I was foolish and greedy. I don't ask for forgiveness. I know I don't deserve it. I just want you to know that you deserve the best in the world. Be happy, Darren." Naomi read the letter, then filed it away in a drawer. No anger, no sadness, just the quiet memory of a past life. That night, she stepped onto her terrace with a cup of coffee. Miami glittered, distant music drifted on the breeze, and the air smelled of summer flowers. She was free, financially independent, and doing what she loved. And for the first time in many years, she felt truly, abundantly happy. In another part of the city, Darren drove his old Toyota through the night, carrying passengers, forever pondering how a man could lose everything in a single catastrophic night. Yes, the truth always conquers the lie, even if sometimes it takes a while.